Okay, today we're going to be working with some key features. We've done most of them, but we're going to add in orientation. So that means, do I have a positive or a negative graph? And then we are going to talk about in behavior. So we've talked about in behavior as far as what do the arrows look like, what direction do I go? But now we're going to talk about as x goes to infinity. Do you remember learning that last year? As x goes to infinity or negative infinity, f of x goes to, etc. So we're going to fill in those questions, and if you look on your papers, they're all there as well. Okay, so our first example, I have f of x equals x plus 1 times x minus 2 quantity squared, and we're going to talk about the degree and orientation. So given those two pieces of information, we'll always be able to draw our in behavior arrows. So our degree for number 1, is that going to be even or odd? Why is it odd?
Just like that.
It's a cubic, yes, so it is odd. So we're going to circle odd. And then for positive or negative, we're going to look out at the front right here. Do I have a sign right there? No, so what does that mean it is? It is positive. What would it be if it was negative? There would be a negative sign there, okay? So we've only graphed positive graphs so far this year. So an odd positive is just going to look like everything that we've been doing. So our in behavior arrows are going to be opposite, and they look like this. Another way to think about that is, if you remember graphing a line, y equals mx plus b, positive slope looks like that, doesn't it? What does negative slope look like? Yeah, it goes the other direction, so kind of like this, right? So that's how we're going to graph our odd negative function. So we'll see that on the next example. So to graph our in behavior, I'm going to redraw our arrows. We're going to look at what it says. It says as x goes to positive infinity, where does f of x go? What's another word for or name for f of x? A y. Okay, f of x is the same as y, right? Do you know that? Remember? We can say y equals or f of x equals. Yes? This? Okay, if you don't remember, here it is. F of x, we think of that kind of as y. It's our vertical axis, okay? So we're talking about as x goes to positive infinity and as x goes to negative infinity. So is x going to be my horizontal axis or my vertical axis? Horizontal. Okay, so that goes left and right. So positive infinity, does that go in the right direction or in the left direction?
Right.
Positive infinity to the right or to the left? To the right. Some of you are looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about, and that's concerning when we're talking about positives and negatives. So let's try this again.
Right.
Okay, if I'm 0, is this the positive direction or is this the positive direction? Yes. To the right is positive, to the left is negative, okay? And up is positive and down is negative. So if we're looking at our right arrow, we're always going to start by looking at that right arrow, okay? So as I go to the right, do I have to go up or down to meet my arrowhead?
Up.
Do I go up or do I go down to meet the arrowhead? I'm going to go up, okay? So is that positive infinity or is that negative infinity? Positive. So f of x goes to positive infinity. You okay? Now, for my left arrow, as I go to negative infinity, do I go up or down to meet my arrowhead? I'm going to go down. So what kind of infinity is that? That is going to be to negative infinity. So I have as x goes to positive infinity, y also goes to positive infinity. And as x goes to negative infinity, y also goes to negative infinity. So far, we have one more thing we have to put for the rest of our key features. In order to graph, we need our x-intercepts. So what is my first x-intercept? That's a root, and that's why we missed so many questions on the test yesterday. So what is an x-intercept? What's the first one? Negative 1, comma 0.
She said minus 1.
Okay, what is my next x-intercept?
Plus 2 minus
2, 0. So I have negative 1, 0. I'll wait. I have negative 1, 0. I have 2, 0. And what is my last one?
2.
Another 2, 0, right? Okay, can I graph it with just this information?
No, you need your y.
No, I need my y-intercept. Did some of you graph it with just x-intercepts yesterday? Oh, yeah. That was hard to look at.
It's -4.
So how'd you get -4?
Because he's smart.
But how? What do I do? What?
He just knows.
Like 1 times -1 times.
Okay, but how did you get 1 and negative? What are you telling? What am I doing?
You have to change the x's to 0.
Okay. Change the x's to zeros. Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do.
He said, huh?
Okay, we'll look right now. Okay, so what is 0 plus 1?
0. 1.
What is 0 plus 1?
1.
Good. And what is 0 minus 2? And what is -2 squared?
4. -4.
Positive 4. What's -2 times -2?
Yeah, go.
4.
Thank you. So 1 times 4 is 4. So that means my y-intercept is 0, 4. Okay so far? Yes or no? Okay. Now, do I have enough information to graph? Yeah. So I have -1, 0 as an intercept. +2, 0 has 2 because it has multiplicity. And my y-intercept is at 0, 4. Now, when I start graphing for a positive odd polynomial, where do I start? Top left or bottom left? Bottom left, and that's our arrow right here. So I'm going to go through. What happens when I hit the highlight? It bounces. Good. And is that a cubic graph?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're done. That's the first one. It's hard. Okay, number two. Do we have any similarities or differences from number 1? We have a difference. There's a what? A negative sign. Good. So what does that mean for my orientation? It's going to be negative this time. And what is the degree? Is it even or odd? Why is it even? It is odd. Okay, let me tell you why. Do I have an x with that negative out there? No, it's a 1. Okay, so I have 2 for my multiplicity and 1 more, so this is still an odd graph. Okay, so what do you think this end behavior looks like? Does it look
He said.
like this, the same as the last one?
No, it's the other way.
No, what do you mean the other way?
You start off on the top left, and then you end on bottom right.
Like that? Okay, do you understand how that is flipped? If I was graphing a negative line, that is a negative slope. Okay? And remember, a line has a degree of 1. It's also an odd function, so we can use our slope for that idea. Are you two okay? Can I move on, please? Yes, I am. Okay, so here's my end behavior. We need to figure out how to write this using our infinity signs. So again, we're going to start with the right. As I go to the right, do I go up or down now? I go down to what infinity is that? Negative infinity. Does one of you have a marker out? It smells like a marker right now. As I go to the left, what happens? Do I go up or down? Where do I go? Do I go up or down? As I go to the left. Hold on. Let's back up. Okay, Aaron, look. As I go to the left right here, do I go up or down? No. Hold on. Okay. The red arrow is my end behavior. So as I go to the left, do I go up or down to hit it? Okay, thank you. So what kind of infinity is that? Positive infinity. Next, we have x-intercepts.
-1 at 0.
Can we give someone else a chance too?
Wait, I want to hear.
Yes, the first one is -1, 0. Can I hear from someone else I haven't heard from today? What's the second one? Thank you. 2, 0. Changing your voice doesn't make you a different person. And what is my third one? 2, 0. Good. Okay, we have our y-intercept now. That one is -4, but here's why. Let me show you the work just in case. Because I have a negative sign out front. Times 1 times -2 quantity squared which is negative 1 times 4, which is negative 4 this time. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 4. So my graph is going to look very similar to number 1, but the orientation is a little bit different. So I have negative 1, 0, 2, 0 with multiplicity 2, and then 0, negative 4. And where do I start this graph? In the top left this time. And that is a cubic. Do you see how it's reversed from my positive graph? It's kind of flipped. No, you don't see it? Okay, so before, can you look back at your number 1? My number 1 graph looked something kind of like that, right? Okay. So I started in the bottom left and ended in the top right. For my negative graph, I start in the top left and end in the bottom right like that. Now do you see how they're like kind of flipped around? Okay, can we do number 3 now? Okay, I'll wait. We're going to do number 3 now. We have 3 and 4, and then the rest of them are you tries, okay? Number 3. Can I circle the degree and orientation, or do I have to write it in? I have to write it in. So what is the degree of number 3? It's 4th degree, which is quartic, which is even. It's an even number. And is this a positive or a negative graph? This is also a positive. So can you show me with your arms what an even positive graph looks like?
It's even, not up.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Now, have those been happening?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's come back. I just started it again. I'm sorry. Sometimes I say things that I shouldn't. My apologies. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at our end behavior. I'll wait. Okay, our end behavior. As I go to the right, which direction am I going? Up. Do we understand why this one is up? Okay, because I had a lot of questions on the last one, which was good, but I want to make sure we're on the same page. What about as I go to the left, which direction do I go? I also go up. So for my even graphs, my end behavior is the same. That's why I keep saying odd is opposite. End behavior is opposite for odd graphs, okay? Yes? Yes, if it's an even degree, it goes together. If it's an odd degree, it's going to be opposite. And we wrote that into our toolkits, which I'm going to get back to you guys next week, okay? Now I need my x-intercepts. So what are my x-intercepts? Negative 1, 0. What else? 2, 0. 2, 0. And negative 4, 0. Thank you, Danielle. To the rest of you, I hope you're paying attention.
I was helping Diego.
Oh, you're helping Diego? Oh, did I copy it wrong? Sorry. Negative 3, 0. My y-intercepts, I have 0 plus 1, 0 minus 2 squared, and 0 plus 3. So that is 1 times negative 2 squared times positive 3. What is negative 2 squared, Diego? What is negative 2 squared? Thank you. I have 1 times 4 times 3, which is what number? Positive 12. Thank you.
You wrote the graph down too.
Okay, so on my graph right now, I have numbers on my axes. You guys don't, right?
No.
Okay, so on my graph with those numbers, can I fit my y-intercept? No, so I'm going to rewrite them. What should I scale it by?
3.
Okay, Diego likes to do it by 6s to get the smallest amount. I'm going to go by 2s. You can go by 2, you could go by 3, you could go by 4, you could go by 6. Doesn't matter to me. Or just 12, but that might make your graph look a little bit weird, so be careful. So I have negative 1, 0, positive 2, 0 twice, and then I have a negative 3, 0. And then my last point is at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I'm going to put it right there. And for my positive even graph, where do I start this graph? Top left. Whoops. I'm going to come down through and bounce. Does that look like a quartic graph? Yes, it's a W, like my middle name. Yeah, I know you did. Okay, number 4. This is the last one I'm doing with you. What is the degree of this?
Cubic.
It is cubic, which is what kind of number? Cubic is not negative. It is odd. And then what is the orientation? Yes, this is negative. And so what does that in behavior look like? Yes, where do I start? Top left to bottom right. Huh? It is negative, yes. Okay, so as I go to the right, which direction do I go? Down, which is what kind of infinity? And as I go to the left, which direction do I go? To positive infinity. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Now I need my x-intercepts. What are they?
Positive 1, 0.
Positive 1, 0.
Negative 1, 0.
Negative 1, 0.
You're counting
The negative doesn't have one. That's just a negative sign, Diego. Okay, so what is my first x-intercept then? 2, 0. Hello, we're almost done. Please stay on my page. What's the second one? 2, 0. And what's the last one? Good. Negative 3, 0. And we have to find our y-intercept.
You said that.
And plug in. Yes.
You're the one that's
12.
Okay, do you know why I do that?
Wait.
Okay, so do you see how in my x-intercept all my y values are 0? So that means for my y-intercept, all my x's are going to be 0. So I plug in 0 for all of my x's and then solve for y. Yes, question? You all multiply all your x's together. I plug it in and find my roots, or solve it like this, and then I multiply it together. Yes.
So what is
Yes. So I have negative 2 squared is 4 times 3, but I have that negative sign out front, so that means I get negative 12. So my intercept is 0, negative 12. That negative stays, yes. And then that is my y value. So if I had like a negative 3 though, it would be positive 12 because negative times a negative is a positive. Yes. So I have 2, 0 twice. Then I have negative 3, 0. And then I have 0, negative 12, which again won't fit. So I'm going to go by 2's. And then my odd negative graph starts where? I drew in behavior. Where does it start?
Top to bottom.
Top left to bottom, and then I bounce like that. And that's my graph, okay?